This is the second video explaining 1544, the drill press vise. So you can see here's my actual working drawing. This is a detailed working drawing, and we've shown the views of each part. Not everything needs to be top, front, right side. Doesn't need to be 3 views. Because remember, the point of a working drawing is to show all the pieces of the machinery and the clearest view possible to make sure whoever is making this understands what they're looking at. So we're going to take it a piece at a time. Okay, so let's look at the base. So here is the base of our part. So you have a center line going through the center of the piece, right? This matches up with the center of this circle. This side is not as tall as this side. Okay, you have a 1/2 inch radius here from the center of that circle. So make sure when you draw this that you pay attention to those measurements. You have a tolerance. Remember, offset the top number, 0.625. You've got an angle of 30 degrees here. This is a 1, so from the bottom of the part up to that bend is 1 inch. This piece, that 3/8, the 1 1/8, all of that is the same on this side. Okay, you have a number 6 32 UNC 2B thread here. So in the first video I told you how to draw that. Okay, it is a 0.138 major diameter. Now when we draw this, we're not going to draw the threads if they're completely hidden. So in this view, we're going to draw the major diameter and the minor diameter. So this is that number 6 thread. It's only 3/8 deep. And remember, I told you the major diameter was 0.138. The minor diameter, we're just going to offset 1/64 to get that minor. Okay, so that's how we're going to show this simplified thread that's hidden inside our part. Now, I've used a cutting plane line to show more detail of the base, so you can actually see this thread on this end. And this will show you, see how this is shorter than this side of the part. I also drew the left side of this piece. I drew the left side because I don't want to see all these hidden lines in this right side view. So make sure that you kind of think about what you're going to do as far as drawing this out, to say, okay, I want to show this the clearest way I possibly can. I have an extra line there and I'm not sure why, so we got rid of that. Okay, so notice that number 6, when I'm looking at it from this view, that is this face right here, and I would see those holes go in. Remember, when you show a threaded hole, to pictorially show that, that is the minor diameter, that is the major diameter. So if it's an interior thread, that major diameter is going to be the hidden line. Okay, that's going to be the hidden line because that is cut into the material. That's why this is your object and that is your hidden, because this is your major and that is your minor diameter for the crest and the root. Okay, now this has a 2-inch diameter cutter. So how you create this, you're given this 15/16, all right? As you build your part, you're given this point here. So what we're going to do to create this, I've changed my layer to the bright cutting plane line just so you can kind of see that it's placed. We're going to use an arc. And in all of these these options for arc, we're going to use start, end, and radius. And every time I do this, I always seem to start on the wrong end. So remember, watch the video when you're trying to make this, because I'm going to show you the right way to do it. You pick start in radius. Start with the right side intersection. So pick that point. Now pick the end. And then it wants the radius. Well, this is a 2-inch diameter. I have to put in a 1 for my radius. And you see, it makes that arc for that 2-inch cutter. You can't use a fillet. A fillet will not work. So that's how you create this arc for that 2-inch cutter. Excuse me. So you're going to use a start, end, radius, arc. Right side is your start point. Left side is your end point. You have to put in a 1 because it's the radius and not the diameter. Okay. So think about your hidden lines. Think about how you'll show that hidden thread. Everything's going to be dimensioned, so that is the base. Now, some of these parts are going to be super easy. So, like the retaining plate and the jaw plate and the handle, those should be fairly simple for you to draw. Okay, so the retainer plate, it only needs 2 views, right? Give me a front and a right side. Now, see how I can see the hidden lines here? That's because I changed my line type scale. So how you do that, hit escape and start typing in LT scale. So LTS gives you LT scale. When you click it, it's going to say, what do we want as a scale factor? Yours is going to default to 1. Well, when it's at 1, you can't really see any kind of dashes because they're too big. Okay, so type in LTS for line type scale, and let's just change this to 0.25 right now. That way you can tell that it's hidden and you've picked the right line and it's looking the way it's supposed to. Okay, so the retainer plate, pretty simple. Notice that I've drawn all my parts kind of in order, in number order. That's what you want to do when you do a working drawing. Just kind of keep the parts in order as they're numbered. Handle rod, very simple. You only need 2 views. I did a front and a right. That's all I really need for that one. The jaw plate, same thing. Now, the jaw plate has a countersink in it. You have a 5/32 and a 9/32 drill in a diameter. Okay, so 5/32, 9/32, but it's got a 82 degrees countersink. 82 degree countersink. All right, so you'll need to pull over both circles, and on the outside edge, this is going to have to be 41 degrees. 41 degrees, so it will make an 82 degree. Okay, and then wherever it hits that 5/32, trim it out. There is the side view of your countersink. The false jaw, this is not hard. Don't make it harder than it is. I would draw these 2 views first. Notice I used an alternate view here for the right side, and that's just because I wanted it to be easier for me to just drag this right over. Okay, so it tells you the sizes, and it tells you it forms a 90, so these would be 45 degrees. If you draw these 2 views and then start pulling things up and over, it's just a matter of connecting the dots and trimming things out. This isn't as hard as it looks to figure out. Okay, all right, now the false jaw. The thing about the false jaw, the one thing you have to think about is, see this 9/16 here, right? This doesn't go straight back. We don't tangent line straight back. This continues with its curve, and it's flat on the back. So you're going to have to show me where those curves are. See? Lots of fillets. Don't leave off your fillets. Think about your hidden lines, what you're going to see. We just did our standard top, front, right side with this one. All right, let's look at the handleballs. Okay, so 2 required. It's giving you some measurements on this one and on this one. And for some reason in this book, they have misspelled sphere, and they always do. So we're going to draw a sphere. So here's our handleball sphere. It is a 7/16 spherical diameter, right? Because it's a ball, and it has a countersink. So that's going to look like this. I drew a front and a top. So just like our other retainer plate, this has a countersink in it. Okay, so put in your 2 diameters. Remember, ream means diameter. It's a 90-degree countersink, so 45-degree angles. Pop those in. Now, think about what happens when you cut a hole through something round. Cuts the rest of that circle off, right? So that's why you have it flat on either end. And please spell sphere correctly. We don't want to make this a sphere. Okay, all right, this piece. This has our number 6 UNC, okay, 3/8 deep. That's this right here. It has a hole going through. Our hole is only 25/32 deep, so that's this. And then we have our thread going up to the next hole. All right, so that's how you're going to show how that looks. All right, let's look at our screw. And I know this is a little confusing down at the end, so I want you to pay attention to what's going on. So let's work our way from left to right. This has a chamfer. You know how to do a chamfer. It is 11/32 wide, then 1/4 from here to here. This is 1/4. Okay, your 1/8 of an inch. You see where that is? From the end to the first notch is an 1/8. Then you have a 3/16 notch. Then you have the 1/2 inch. On the paper, there's a lot of arrows going on, so it's a little confusing. All right, then you have your 1/2 inch major diameter 13 UNC 2A thread. There's your thread. Then you have your 1/4 drill. So remember how we did our arc in our loco screw jack? You do the same exact thing here. So you're going to create your circle, your 1/2 inch circle, offset your drill circle through it, your 1/4 inch drill, and then place your arc. Here you have the knurling. This is the knurl. And all we did was hatch, and we created this with an ANSI 37 hatch, and I actually changed its scale. I changed the scale to 0.5 because at 1 it was just big X's, and it looks a lot better if I change the scale to 0.5. Here's my left side view. I pulled all these over because no matter what, it's going to be just hidden lines everywhere for this screw thread. Okay. Our standard parts, just list them out. Make sure you list them in your title block. And then you need to go back to your cheat sheet on how to draw this retaining screw, because you're going to have to pull out this hex, use the 7/16 and pull these over and create these arcs. It lists out your thread. The dog point here, that's just an 1/8 of an inch by an 1/8 of an inch. So use your cheat sheet. If you need to go back to the video for 15-40 and watch the part where we pull over this hex screw and create that, please do so you can make that retainer screw. Okay, so if you just take this drawing just a piece at a time, it's not hard at all. Okay, so try to lay it out in order, you know, parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. So when you go to your title block, everything's kind of in order and it fits. Remember, titles are 1/4 with 1/4 numbers. Just draw a circle around it, copy that same circle around every number. We don't just guess and have all these random size circles. And then the material, that's 1/8 of an inch. Your dimensions, I'm pretty sure we set the dimension size to 3/32 because, you know, you got a lot going on, and if we had these too big, it would just be too hard to fill in all the dimensions. They would overlap too bad. So take your time, look at the parts, look at the drawing. You shouldn't have any trouble with anything. Just take your time with it. Pay attention to your dimensions and take your time and just draw it out. Okay? You're going to do great, guys. Good luck.